What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Striking a Chord. I am Mad Manda, and producer Rich is back with me.
I have to say something. I've got to get this off my chest, and it has been driving me nuts all week. It's been 2 weeks since I've graced you with some sort of music wisdom. 2 weeks!
This is true.
And I have to share this with you. So... not just urban, she liked the pop because she was living La Vida Loca. She had dumps like a truck. Things like a what?
Please stop.
Been saving that one for 2 weeks.
It didn't dawn on me which one you were doing until it got to one line. I was like, oh no, is he really?
Yeah, it's the first song.
Did he really go there?
I looked up, by the way, when I Googled worst songs of the 2000s. Hey, I think that's a good segue.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Hope everyone's doing well.
So we'll actually have, I know it's been a couple weeks already since we've been able to update you guys with new music. We will be doing that next week with our huge Halloween episode. So we'll be basically covering 4 weeks of new music next week. There's so much new music out to tell you guys about.
Yeah, that's just going to be a rundown of music.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go over some music news, stuff that's been happening, some updates with some artists and stuff. And we'll have a From the Vault album for you. And for our feature segment next week, we're going to give you guys it started with my list, but now obviously Rich is going to be contributing his as well. But basically our picks for modern rock songs. I should emphasize that. Modern rock songs to get you in the mood for Halloween.
Can I throw in something? If you are a Halloween fan and you have no idea what you're doing next week, we have you covered. Oh my gosh. From the episode of Striking a Chord on Wednesday to 2 episodes of Live to 2 episodes of Cinecrap, we've got you covered for Halloween.
Yep.
Just letting you know. It's going to be
true.
A fun week. And don't forget to vote in our tournament for the greatest Halloween movie ever.
Yes, the horror. This is probably my favorite bracket challenge.
This is
so
my
far.
favorite one to seed. Because it's just always at a random pick. TBKmagazine.com. Go there now. Vote for your favorites. Make sure they win and move on, because some people are really mad right now that their favorites have not moved on. And
my favorite did move on, so I'm happy.
That's the upset right now, I think, of the whole thing. And then find out who wins on Halloween, because that is the actual date of the finals, I believe. Or it's the day before Halloween. So we might actually know the winner when we're recording next week.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. But it will be one non-horror movie versus horror movie.
Oh, boy. That's always weird how that works.
Yeah, it's going to be Hocus Pocus. Let's just call it now, kids. That's what's winning.
I just want Scream to take it all.
I don't think it happens, but...
yeah, I know.
Because people love them some Hocus Pocus. Holy crap.
They do. And speaking of that, did you hear I sent you the announcement?
Yeah,
Disney Plus is making a Hocus Pocus 2.
I know this has nothing to do with music, but you know what? It's Hocus Pocus 2, but the downside is none of the original cast. It's just a reboot kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't read the details.
Yeah, no. I want to write it. I was considering writing the story, and then I read it, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't write the story. I don't know. But
oh, man. But this week, to hold you guys over, we have another artist interview for you guys. This week, we got to chat with Mr. Nick Reese, the lead singer and frontman for rock band Joyous Wolf. They've got a really cool sound about them. Their EP is out right now. I think it's like 7 songs. So if you have not heard that, go check that out. It's kind of not a bad soundtrack for your Halloween playlist. If you're looking for songs for your Halloween party, I'm sure there's one or two on there that you can throw on your Halloween playlist. But yeah, so like I said, we got to chat with Nick Reese from Joyous Wolf. And so that's our interview and show for this week. And then next week we are back with a regular jam-packed show for you guys.
A very spooky jam-packed show for you guys.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you ever sent, like, you know how you watch the news and sometimes there's that joke of like, all right, so now reporter, send it back to yourself. Here's the opportunity. You get to do that. So you can send it to yourself conducting the interview. Here's your chance.
Okay. And now I don't even know how to do how that would work for this. And now here's me interviewing Nick Reese from Joyous Wolf. You guys released your debut album, debut EP, I should say. I'm sorry, Place and Time. Tell me about these 7 songs as a whole and what you think they say as an introduction for the band.
I think what we wanted to prove was that we are an artistic force, in the studio, and that we can really do what we do well, I think. And I think that was the general statement. And as far as the writing, I just wanted to write a rock record for the current generation, and that's really what I focused on lyrically.
Okay. So let's start with the title track, Place and Time. It seems like a pretty straightforward concept, but can you tell me about the story behind this song and why you chose to name the album after it?
I just thought it just made the most sense. I mean, it really is all about the moment that we made it, and it was made very quickly, and and the centralized idea that it's what's happening right this moment. Place and Time is really just about being a young person and achieving your freedom and using it to the form that you see fit, I suppose, going out and living the way that you want to.
Okay. You guys have this really great sound that feels like a mix of 60s and 70s classic rock mixed with blues. But I also hear some Soundgarden and Alice in Chains in there as well. Talk to me about the band's biggest musical influences and how they helped develop the overall sound that you guys would eventually stick with.
We really do consider ourselves like late 60s rock meets early 90s rock. So I think a mix of that and then whatever else we bring. Our influences are kind of everywhere. I mean, if you ask everybody individually, you're going to get a lot of different answers. I mean, of course, Soundgarden and all of the grunge groups and Black Sabbath and Zeppelin but also lots of different things. Like I come from school of early rock and roll, like 50s rock and roll, and that's rock and roll to me. Everything else is just trying to be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of blues music and old school country and jazz, and it really is everything. A lot of funk music, soul music.
Okay. You guys are all from Southern California, but you would never guess that just by hearing your music. Starting out, did you know what kind of band you wanted to be in the direction you definitely didn't want to go in?
Not at all. We literally just left it up to just doing what we do. Like, okay, we're just going to go in here and whatever happens, happens. And it just kind of ended up that way. There was never an inkling of what kind of band should we be or what should our sound like, anything like that at all.
Okay. Said Too Much is such a strong song on the album that really stands out and highlights all the excellent vocal work and musicianship as well. What can you tell me about this song?
That song was laying in bed. I was laying in bed late one night, and the opening lines of the song, Fear the Heart, Fear the Lover, we might even touch each other, was like a little poem, a little thing, and I thought that was interesting. And I brought it to the guys the next day, and the song just sort of happened from that point on. I wanted to write a song about the confusion of modern dating and modern sexual practice, I suppose I could say. I mean, it was odd enough. I mean, I'm 25 now, and me being a teenager and growing up with the earlier form of social media that I had it made things stranger, and the internet makes things stranger and tougher, and there's expectations, and there's all these, and now I can only imagine how it's probably amplified for the current, American teen or world teen, because and that's what I wrote, just to really write a song about that, just because there are so many things going through their heads, like they don't know how, they don't know what is and what isn't, and what should and what shouldn't, and the modern aspect of what sex is, and a lot of this neo purism and stuff, and and whether or not it makes you less of something or more of something, or are you slept with more than one boy, or does that make you dirty? Or you slept with more than one girl, does that make you the same? Does it make you cool? Does it make you this? Does it make that whole thing? I really, is what the song is about. I've just finally, it's to the point where I feel like it's been over talked, over analyzed, and I think we need to take a step back and remember that it's something that is extremely natural, and it shouldn't have to be so complicated. And I think there should be more education into that, but that's really what the song is about for me. That's what I wrote it about.
How has the response been from your fans towards that song?
They really love it, which is quite nice, actually. I actually, for the first time, it was interesting. Someone the other day actually thought that I had on stage that I made the lyrics raunchier, and I hadn't changed the lyrics at all. I have a lot of visual cues when I perform the song live to further gun home what I'm talking about. And I said, no, this is what I wrote it about. I mean, we might even touch each other, like, oh God, God forbid we do that. That's, what I mean? I felt her breath in my ear, where my actions so clear, really, it's about, the story is a couple in a car, not sure what to do with each other.
Okay. So I mentioned I have excellent vocal work on that particular song. Speaking of your vocals, obviously you have such a unique and a powerful voice. Do you think it definitely helps, obviously, like a band having a singer who doesn't sound like anyone else on the radio or in the genre?
I mean, I don't know if I'm that unique. I'll never know, really, but I think I fit for what we do. I think I'm the best singer that Joyous Wolf could have.
Yeah.
I'm the only one. I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd have to ask somebody who listens to us for that. I don't really know where I stand. All I know is I just do what feels good and sounds good to me. And, and that all comes from what the guys play. So.
Talk to me a bit about the song Mother Rebel on your album, because I have to be honest with you, when I first listened to it, the first thing that popped in my mind was Plush by STP.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah. Why that?
Because of the opening riff or beat or whatever you want to call it. I'm listening to the song, and in my head, like, immediately what pops in my mind is the beginning of Plush by STP, and I couldn't even place the song at first. I just know that opening from Plush, and I'm listening to your song, and I'm hearing Plush. It comes in on that hard beat, I suppose. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. But you want to know about the song? Oh, sorry. You were cutting it out, so I didn't hear that. Oh, I was saying, no, yeah, it comes in on kind of on a 2-hit, like a Yeah.
A bump bump. So I get what you're saying. You want to know about the song? Is that what you were
Yeah,
asking
Mother
me?
Rebel. Mm-hmm.
Mother Rebel is one of our older tracks, but it's cool because thematically it really fit with the rest of the record, and I like that. It's sort of like a parallel story. I love history, and I love mythology, and I love old world things and old world culture and stuff. And someone I've always been really intrigued about in the Civil War era was Harriet Beecher Stowe, and she wrote a book you may know, Uncle Tom's Cabin, and it's a really important book in American history because it was the first to describe in mass media at the time the atrocities of slavery and et cetera. And it really it helped spark the war, helped create, the secession from the Union, and it created this thing. And in the North, to the people who were anti-slavery, obviously they saw her as a hero and as as a strong leader in that, and then in the South they smeared her and tried to say, oh, she's nuts, she doesn't know what she's talking about, she's nothing but a whatever, and so I decided to write like on the perspective of like, okay, there's a young person listening to this in the North and hearing she's a crazy person, she's this, she's that, and then the next one is someone in the South hearing about her and how it's negative and positive. It's just depending on which side of the fence you're on.
Yeah.
And to me that applied a lot to now. Depending on which side of the fence you're on, you're going to hear a completely different song sung, I guess to say, about whomever, especially somebody in a political position or even a celebrity or this or that, the other thing, there could be, if you know what I mean, and what I'm referencing, obviously, and I just felt like that hasn't changed. And, I think that's just humanity. It'll never change. And yeah, I don't know. I loved her character. I loved everything about her. And I thought she'd be a great topic. And at the end, I've read lots of excerpts and stuff from her, and it was like my way of sort of being like the last thing is our Maybelline knows that we need some guidance. So she believed, that there could be peace, that we could find the answer, and that was really just kind of like a love letter to her effort, and also sort of a parallel into the modern day.
Interesting. There's been an increase lately in bands whose sounds are straight out of an earlier decade of music, mostly like the 70s or the 90s, Greta Van Fleet being the biggest and most obvious example of that. As a musician yourself and someone whose own influences run deep in the 60s and 70s, why do you think that is and what that means for the future of rock music?
My influences aren't really in the 70s, to say. I mean, I like some bands from the 70s, obviously, but artists, but my roots are a bit earlier, actually. But I mean, just saying, as far as groups coming from the past or sounding like the past, I don't really understand that statement. I feel like that's always been a thing. I mean, I always explain this over and over again. People say, "Oh, rock's back." I'm like, when did it go?
Well, it's not that rock's.
Like, we had.
I don't think that people are trying to say that like rock's back. I think it's like that sound from that era is what's back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean,
like, you can't
again,
compare...
like I said, like I said, I was saying to you is, I mean, back in what was it, 2010? I mean, we had Wolf Mother, which I think was a very similar sound to what Greta Van Fleet does. And Jack White, his many projects have been around, and all his stuff sounds like, is influenced by previous decades. And again, the Black Keys were very blues rock influenced, and we had Cage the Elephant, who was very Rolling Stone-ish to me, and this is what I'm saying. I always repeat this because I'm like, people always say, oh yeah, it's a return to this sound, and I'm like, I don't I mean, we have bands like, like Blackberry Smoke and then Blackstone Cherry and countless other ones, doing this style of music. And I think the biggest difference, the only thing that I feel is very different and unique, is that it just happens to be that it is a cluster of, for the most part, of younger people participating in it.
Right.
Even though, I guess back in the day they were younger too. So I mean, I guess that must be it. I mean, maybe it's because they put a new seal on it, but I really think it's just media trying to make something. I mean, everyone wants to put a stamp on something, and they're calling what me and the boys do, and a couple of the other bands and Van Fleet, they're calling it a movement now, and that to me is hilarious because I didn't get any memo. I mean, we none of us did. I mean, we're all just sort of doing what we're doing. I mean, obviously there's going to be bandwagon hoppers and stuff like that, because it's becoming what's it called, quote unquote, I guess trendy or whatever. But I mean, I have no opposition to people wanting to play rock and roll music. If it feels good and sounds good, then it's great. But that I always have an issue whenever I hear that. Whenever I hear that, it's like, oh, now it's out of nowhere, and I'm like, it really isn't though. I mean, Rival Sons have been around since 2009. And they've made countless records of that sound. And if anything, they deserve the real credit, because those guys have, they did it, they were really doing it, and they've done it for, I think they have probably almost 6, I think they have 6 albums now,
Oh, wow.
So, and again, like I said, Blackberry Smoke, Blackstone Cherry, and again, bigger bands like the Black Keys, and again, Royal Blood was another band like that, tons of other ones. And I told you all the Jack White projects, totally. So I feel like it was all really it was all there, and you also have a band called Kaleo, I think. I believe it is their name, and they've been around for a little bit, and they're doing that sound too, kind of that soul rock sound, and so that's just my answer always to that is like, I don't know what to say, because I'm like, I feel like it's always kind of been that way. I just, we just happened to grow up with parents that liked particular brands of music, and it just stuck with us. Like Elvis Presley was my obsession, and I learned how to sing just because I loved him so much, because I wanted to sound like him. So I listened to all the people he listened to, and it taught me how to kind of navigate vocally. So it's all about that. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, it's cool. I'm happy that there's more young rock groups coming out and stuff.
Right.
But as far as why it's harkening back to certain things, I'm like, I don't really think that's it at all. I think we're just playing with amplifiers as opposed to computers.
You guys played Louder Than Life Festival in 2017, which is a huge deal for newer bands.
A long time ago.
Tell me what that experience was like for you, especially since it was prior, obviously, to the release of the EP.
I mean, that was really early on. That was actually our second show ever outside the state of California, which was quite a trip for us. I mean, we were a club band, and we had played Sunset a ton, and we were picked up by an agent, and he really believed in us, and he put us out there into the world. And it was, I mean, we were one of the only younger bands on the festival, really. I mean, we realized that we were very alone. I mean, it was us and Greta, obviously, were there. And we were really, as far as age goes, we were the pound for pound, we were the youngest groups there, and it was very different. I mean, you get to see a lot of heroes and stuff, and that was at the beginning. So that was just a trip, just being surrounded by people that you knew, like bands that you'd listened to growing up, and that you were fans of, and meeting heroes, and it was really something else. And I mean, since then we've played a ton of festivals, a lot of those Danny Rimmer ones, like Louder Than Life, and again, we also played Aftershock Festival that year, and we played Rock Allegiance, and we played Welcome to Rockville, and Carolina Rebellion, Rock on the Range, Northern Invasion, Rock USA. Like we've been on so many rock festivals. I mean, I mean, it's got rock in the name, you name it. We were actually supposed to be at Rock Fest earlier this year, but our tour with Deep Purple actually made that not possible, so we had to opt out. But it was a really humbling experience, because I feel like it made us be like, okay, well, we want to keep doing this. We want this to be the regular, not a one-time only thing. And I think we've worked very hard since then, and I could say that we're definitely going to be on a lot of festivals next year, so it'll be a lot of fun.
So obviously, you mentioned the tour now at Deep Purple, and before that you were out with Slash and Buck Cherry. And I've heard the crowds for you are only continuing to grow. So it's safe to say people are really responding well to you guys.
I mean, we've gotten some wonderful opportunities to show our brand of rock music off to quite a number of people, and it's been nothing but a privilege and an honor. And touring with Buck Cherry, you get a very particular crowd, and touring with Slash and Miles Kennedy, you get a very particular crowd. And it's the same thing for Deep Purple. At this point, we've played for, I think, every single kind of crowd under the sun. At this point, everything from opening for 3 Days Grace, which was a lot of teenagers and a lot of, young adults, and then opening for Deep Purple, which is kind of an older audience. You get mixed stuff. You get some young people too, and you get the legacy chasers and stuff like that. But really, we've played and done our show, without holding any blows back. With everybody, we've really haven't changed it. We've just refined it, and I'm happy to say that it has done quite well with the people that we've played for, and I'm happy about that, as you can imagine.
It's a pretty big deal when someone like Eddie Trunk gives you his stamp of approval. What was it like being on his show?
It was really cool. I mean, I watched his show when I was a kid. That was on VH1, and it was cool because he was he's always been a figure in rock and metal, and he knows everything. He knows the entire history under the sun.
Yeah.
And it's cool because he's really fighting his hardest, for young rock. He's giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, which a lot of older rock fans are not doing. A lot of older rock fans are stuck in their ways, and they don't want their what they view it to be taken away. And I think that's a big thing. It's a big thing with modern times, is that nostalgia is such a crazy thing now. People don't want to let go. They don't want to give the keys to the kids, but I feel like slowly it's starting to show that they're relenting and being like, okay, these kids can play. Let's let them go.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen you guys live yet, but I've heard that you channel James Brown and Jim Morrison with your stage presence. These days, you don't really get much of that from frontmen in modern rock bands. Why do you think gone are the days of bands with frontmen like Steven Tyler? And do you think fans want to see more of that?
I feel like there's a lot of Steven Tyler impersonators in modern rock, but I'm just saying, being frank. But I think as far as the Jim Morrison thing, James Brown and Jim are definitely influential on me, but I think it's because I get lost in the music, and I just sort of, I just become part of what's going on, I guess, and it's all interpretation. I think it's because it's hard. I'm not patting myself on the back or anything, but I can tell you that it is a difficult thing to upkeep. I mean, we did 120 shows this year, and I do the same show every night, and I really put my body into the show because, I don't know, that's just what my heroes did, and they did it in their own way, there's James Brown is to me is the greatest showman ever, because he didn't need pyrotechnics, he didn't need giant video screens, or he didn't need explosions and crazy light shows. He was the show. Mm-hmm. It was him. He could rock sold out stadiums. Like with his himself and the power of his music and his message. And that's really what I think about is that I'm like, I just want to give everything I have every single night, and if I don't, then I feel bad. if I don't feel like I gave it everything I had, then I will feel depressed. So I think it's truly just because it's a difficult thing to do. The upkeep is hard, the wear and tear is hard, and I also think there's a lot of self-consciousness. I love to dance. I love dancing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who's watching. I don't care where it is. I don't care what people say. It doesn't matter to me, and it never did. Even when I was younger, I could just burst into dance, and it never mattered to me. I could spaz around and just move. I love to move. I love to be free in movement, and I feel like a lot of modern people are very insecure about things like that. If they're not in a club where it's dark and you can't see anything, they're not going to dance.
Yeah.
They're embarrassed. They feel like they're going to be judged by people, and I feel like that is an actual definite thing, and I just don't have that in me. I don't care. I really don't care. Someone says, "Hey, your pants are too tight." I bought a tighter pair. I don't give a shit. I really do. I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I just love to move to the music. The music makes me move, and I can't sit still. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, say, someone is playing a recording from the night before, like, "Hey, look, here's a video of you from last night," and it's the song that I played, we do every single night,
Mm-hmm.
There'll be parts in the song and I'll hear it, and there'll be muscles in my body that will jolt at certain parts of the song because I'm so used to moving in those moments on stage that it's become such a repetitive exercise for me. It's just in me. I just like it. I love it. I love to please, and I love to put on a show, and I love to tease. I love to tease an audience. I love giving the audience crap. To me, I'm not just there to perform the songs verbatim. I'm there to give you an experience, and I'm there to make you uncomfortable, and there to make to give you something different that you have not had. So I think that's the main reason, is people being uncomfortable and not wanting to do it, or being too insecure to do it. And I hope that changes. I hope I lead by example, honestly. I hope that me dancing on stage gets people dancing too. And sometimes I'll be dancing on stage and there will be people that just randomly break out, in these, these subdued crowds. There'll be a handful of people getting down, and I'm like, that's what it is. See, that's what it is. I'll know I've truly reached people when an entire audience is dancing with me. That would mean everything to me.
What's on the horizon for Joyous Wolf as far as more new music and touring plans for 2020?
We're currently writing the next record. We're writing a full length, and we're really excited to get going. We have some good stuff already performing, and we're hopefully to get it out next summer. That's the goal.
Okay. So one
and then
of the
lots
things...
and lots and lots of touring next year.
I can imagine. So before we wrap up really quick, one last question. One of the things that we pride ourselves here on the podcast is introducing our listeners to new music or new artists that they might not have heard of before. What new music has been striking a chord with you lately that you want people to know about?
Oh, I have a ton. You ready? All right, let's do this. So there's a lot of great new rock bands that we find. We actually have you go on our Spotify, we have a playlist on our Spotify that's called Joyous Wolf's Best of New Rock, and it's all the best new rock bands that we've met all over the country, and they're our favorites, and they're all great people, and we love them. There's a band from New Jersey called The Revel. They're amazing. They just put out a new EP. It's fantastic. Go listen to it. It's great new rock, great personality. They don't sound like anyone to me. And then you also have a band from Pampa, Texas called The Odd Fellas. They are absolutely awesome. They have their own brand of new rock. They also just released a new EP. Obviously, Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown. Tyler Bryant is an extremely great guitar player. He's got a wicked band full of great guys in there. And who am I now? A great band from Long Beach, California called Of Limbo. They just wrapped up a new record, and that's going to come out soon. So I think you guys be really in on that. They have a great record out now called Nicotine. Came out a couple of years back. It's an amazing record. It's got some killer songs on it. Let's see, who else am I missing? Shoot. I know I have someone else. One second. Let me actually look. One second. All right. There we go. Let's see. Oh, yeah. From Chicago, there's a band called Shout. They're from Joliet, actually, Joliet, Illinois.
Okay.
They're called Shout, Chout. They have a brand new EP out. They also have a record out called Dog Water. It's really awesome if you like kind of like a grunge meets Sabbath sound. It's really great stuff. Their new EP especially I like a lot. Also a band from Oshawa, Canada called Crownlands. They're on Universal, and they're absolutely awesome guys. I met them at Impact Festival. Young cats making great new rock music, and they're a duo. The singer plays drums and sings at the same time. Not something I recommend to most people if they want to, live a happy life. But for some reason, he's still got a big grin on his face while he does it. Yeah, those are some of my favorite bands right there. And also a great band, if you want something more hard, there's a band called He Is Legend. They have a record out called White Bat. Absolutely stellar. Yeah, I have a lot of talented, amazing individuals that I've had the pleasure of meeting, and happy to call them contemporaries. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So then go ahead and let everyone know where they can find Joyous Wolf on social media. I'm assuming it's just at Joyous Wolf, but just to be safe, I wanted to ask.
It's Joyous Wolf Music on Twitter and Instagram. Sadly, someone took out Joyous Wolf, so whoever you are, damn you. Honestly, if you want to find anything Joyous Wolf, joyouswolf.com. It's got links to everything. Joyous Wolf, Google it. We're the only thing in the world with that dumb name, except for this one Instagram user, apparently. Which, by the again, damn you. But it's, yeah, if you want to find anything by us, and also, if you're a fan of the band, what we do, thank you very much. We love you, and thanks for the good times.
Awesome. Well, so thanks for joining us for the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.